The night has fallen gently upon the heart of ancient Rome, and the city breathes in slow, quiet rhythms. The streets that once echoed with the clatter of sandals and the laughter of merchants are now almost empty, holding only the faint sound of distant water flowing through stone channels. The air feels cool, brushing lightly against the marble statues that line the courtyards and gardens. Torches flicker in the hands of the few guards who walk their slow, careful rounds, their faces half hidden behind the glow of flame and shadow. In the distance, the moon drifts like a pale silver coin above the rooftops, and its reflection dances upon the calm surface of the Tiber River. Tonight Rome sleeps, but not all of it. Somewhere deeper within the city, past walls gilded in gold and guarded by silence, stands the forbidden palace of Emperor Caligula. A place of wonder and unease, where marble pillars reach toward the heavens, and whispers travel faster than footsteps. For most Romans, it is a place they will never see, a name they will never dare to speak after dark. Yet for those within, it is a world that never truly sleeps. Every corridor holds a breath, every lamp holds a secret. The scent of burning oil and crushed flowers lingers in the still air. The palace itself seems alive, humming quietly like something aware of its own power. As Jake's voice drifts softly through the dark, he invites you to imagine yourself standing before its gates. The stones beneath your feet are smooth, worn by centuries of footsteps. The golden doors, engraved with scenes of triumph and gods, glimmer faintly in the torchlight. Beyond them lies a place where time moves differently, slower, deeper, heavier. The people inside live not for themselves but for the emperor's moods, which shift like the sea in a storm. Still, for now, the night is peaceful. You stand there, listening to the hum of the distant fountains and the crackle of the torches, breathing in the ancient air of the Roman night. This is the beginning of your journey, a quiet step into the forbidden palace of Caligula, where beauty and fear walk hand in hand, and where every shadow seems to hold the memory of a dream long gone. As you take a slow step through the golden gates, the first thing you feel is the weight of silence. It is not an empty silence, but one that seems filled with invisible eyes, ancient and patient, watching every move you make. The air inside is warmer, scented with oil lamps and the faint sweetness of crushed herbs burned to please the gods. You hear the soft shuffle of footsteps far ahead, echoing faintly against the marble walls. Every sound lingers here, as if the palace itself does not wish to let it go. The floor beneath your feet is polished so smooth that it catches the flicker of torchlight like still water. You move slowly, your own reflections sliding along the stone as though another self walks beside you. The hall stretches endlessly, lined with statues of emperors and gods, their faces calm, their eyes carved in eternal judgment. Some are chipped, some worn, yet all of them stand proudly as reminders that this is not just a home, but a monument to power. Each corner smells faintly of incense and metal, where gold has been heated and shaped by hands now long gone. Above you, the ceiling disappears into the shadows, painted with stars and winged figures, their colors dimmed by the passing of time. Somewhere behind the walls, you can hear faint murmurs, the rustle of fabric, the quiet clink of pottery, and the low whisper of servants speaking in the hush of night. They move like ghosts, their tasks known by heart, their voices soft enough to keep the emperor's dreams undisturbed. Jake's voice drifts with the air, calm and slow, guiding you deeper into the heart of this forbidden world. Imagine, he says, walking in a place where the walls have listened for centuries, where every secret has left a trace. You notice the warmth of the torches against your face, the cool of the marble beneath your hands, the faint hum of a palace alive with memories. Here, even stillness feels alive. The scent of roses, crushed beneath sandals, floats gently through the corridor. Far ahead, a curtain moves, touched by a soft breeze that has somehow found its way through layers of stone and secrecy. Every step feels like walking into history itself, a story that continues to breathe even when no one is left to tell it aloud. You pause for a moment near one of the great pillars, its surface marked by age, its carvings dulled but not forgotten. Your hand touches it lightly, and for a moment you feel warmth, not from fire, but from the weight of countless lives who once passed this way. The palace hums softly, as if acknowledging your presence, as if whispering, "You are not the first to wonder." The thought is both comforting and haunting, like standing in a dream that belongs to someone else. As you walk deeper into the palace, the night feels thicker, as if the air itself remembers too much. The walls grow taller, the ceiling farther away, and the torches burn lower now, casting long shadows that tremble like quiet breaths. The sound of your footsteps is gentle but steady, and in that rhythm, you begin to sense the hidden pulse of this place. The palace is vast, a labyrinth built not just of stone, but of whispers and desires, of loyalty and fear. You pass through an archway carved with the shapes of winged lions and mythic creatures. Their eyes seem to follow you, as though carved not only from marble but from memory. The floor changes beneath you, cool mosaic tiles arranged in perfect patterns, small pieces of colored stone forming scenes of gods, wars, and distant seas. The details are breathtaking, though many are worn smooth by time, their colors fading into soft blues and dusty reds. Somewhere nearby, the faint sound of a lyre drifts through the air, each note floating like a sigh. Someone, perhaps a servant or a musician, is still awake, playing quietly in the shadows to soothe the Emperor's restless dreams. Jake's voice continues gently. In this palace, even the music feels like a prayer. Not to the gods, but to peace, the peace that everyone hopes will last until morning. You turn a corner and find yourself in a narrow hallway lined with bronze lamps. Their flames dance softly, casting light across painted walls. The paintings show scenes of banquets and victories, men in white togas raising cups of wine, women crowned with flowers, and the Emperor's chariot shining under a painted sun. Yet the faces are cracked, the colors chipped away by time. It is as though the past is peeling away, revealing the bones of silence beneath. You pause and breathe deeply. The air smells of oil, smoke, and something faintly sweet, perhaps the remnants of a feast long finished. Far above, you hear a faint rumble, maybe the wind moving across the high arches, or maybe the palace itself exhaling in its sleep. You can almost feel it breathing around you, this vast and heavy structure, ancient and proud, but not unkind. It has seen laughter and cruelty, love and betrayal, and yet it endures steady as the earth beneath it. You think of all the people who once walked these halls, servants carrying jugs of wine, soldiers guarding the Emperor's door, slaves polishing marble floors until they gleamed like mirrors. Their lives were brief, their names forgotten, but their touch still lingers here, in the faint fingerprints on stone, in the worn edges of each step. The palace, you realize, is built not just of marble, but of memory, layer upon layer of it, pressed into the walls by time. As you stand there, surrounded by the faint light of old torches, you begin to feel the strange peace that only ancient places can offer. It is the peace of knowing that everything, power, fear, joy, eventually fades into silence. The palace understands this truth, and tonight, it allows you to rest within it. As the corridor narrows, you step into a courtyard that feels almost forgotten by time. The air here is cooler, carrying the scent of damp stone and distant rain. Moonlight falls gently across the marble floor, and a thin layer of mist curls around the edges of the pool at its center. The water is still, perfectly still, like a mirror holding the reflection of a world that no longer exists. In that reflection, you can almost see the ghosts of those who once gathered here, noblemen in flowing robes, whispering under the stars, servants moving silently with trays of fruit and wine, and perhaps Caligula himself, standing by the fountain, his eyes lost in thoughts no one dared to ask about. The courtyard feels sacred, not because it belongs to the gods, but because it holds the memories of countless silent nights. You walk closer to the pool, and the sound of your steps echoes softly through the arches. The columns that surround the courtyard are tall and worn, their surfaces etched with faint marks, not carvings, but scratches left by time and hands that once touched them. A soft wind moves through the air, carrying the faint rustle of olive trees beyond the walls. Somewhere, a single bird sings, a slow and tired song, as if even it feels the weight of history in this place. Jake's voice comes in gently again, like a breeze passing through your thoughts. In this courtyard, every sound is older than you. Every stone has listened to secrets whispered long before you were born. His words linger, soft and calm, blending with the quiet night. You sit on the edge of the fountain and watch the ripples spread through the water, slow and delicate. They fade almost instantly, leaving the surface smooth again, untouched, eternal. It makes you think about how short each human life truly is. The people who once lived here laughed, argued, dreamed, and feared, just as you do. But all that remains of them now are faint echoes and gentle traces, like footprints washed away by the sea. Beyond the courtyard, a long shadow stretches from an open doorway. You can see a faint light flickering inside, the soft, golden glow of an oil lamp. Curiosity draws you closer, step by step, your hands brushing the cold surface of the wall. Inside the chamber, you find an old statue, a woman carved from white marble, her face calm and her hands raised as if in prayer. Dust has gathered on her shoulders, and cobwebs shimmer around her like threads of silver. Her eyes, though blank, seem to look right through you, patient and eternal. It is strange how something made of stone can feel so alive. You whisper a quiet greeting, and for a moment the silence feels like a reply. The lamp beside her flickers, its flames stretching and shrinking as the wind sneaks through the cracks in the walls. You can almost hear the faint hum of the past, the clinking of cups, the laughter of the emperor's guests, the echo of sandals on marble. Every sound comes and goes like a heartbeat, steady and timeless. This chamber, like the courtyard, is not empty. It is full of presence, full of unseen life. You can feel it in the air, a gentle vibration that connects everything, from the smallest speck of dust to the grandest statue. As the minutes drift by, you sit quietly, breathing in the cool, heavy air. There is peace here, but also a deep sadness. The palace is beautiful, but its beauty carries sorrow, the kind that comes from remembering too much. Still, that sadness is not painful. It is soft, like the ache of an old song that once brought joy. You close your eyes for a moment, and in that stillness, you can almost hear the rhythm of another age, the slow beating heart of ancient Rome, still alive in the stones of Caligula's forgotten palace. The deeper you wander, the more the palace begins to feel alive. Not in a fearful way, but like something vast that remembers you. The air grows warmer here, carrying the scent of incense, sweet and smoky, like burned myrrh and cedar. You follow that scent through a doorway draped with old red curtains. The fabric is thin, its color faded by time, but as you touch it, a small cloud of dust drifts into the light. Behind the curtain, a wide chamber opens before you, lit by low torches and bronze lamps. The walls shimmer faintly, decorated with painted vines and golden birds, their wings frozen mid-flight. The room is quiet, yet full of a strange energy, the kind that feels like memory itself breathing softly in the dark. Jake's voice returns, calm and steady. "This is one of the Emperor's private rooms. Few ever entered here, and those who did rarely spoke of it again." His words hang in the air, not as warning, but as wonder. You walk slowly across the room. The floor beneath you is smooth and cool, made of pale marble that reflects the torchlight like soft water. In one corner, a small couch rests, its cushions worn thin, its wooden frame carved with delicate patterns of vines and serpents. It looks untouched for centuries, yet it still holds the faint shape of someone who once sat here. Perhaps Caligula himself. You sit gently, and the silence wraps around you like a warm blanket. For a moment, you imagine the emperor entering this very room, the flicker of gold on his robe, the faint scent of wine and oil trailing behind him, the sound of his sandals brushing against the floor. He was young, not much older than you, and yet burdened with a world's worth of power. You picture him looking out into the dim torchlight, surrounded by luxury, but isolated by his own crown. Power, Jake whispers softly, is often the loneliest companion. And here, inside these golden walls, loneliness was the one guest who never left. You rise and walk toward a large bronze mirror at the far end of the room. Its surface is tarnished, its reflection blurred, like water disturbed by a hand. When you look into it, you don't see yourself clearly, only shapes, shadows, and soft movement. It feels less like a mirror and more like a window into another time. For a heartbeat, you imagine you see the faint outline of someone behind you, a servant passing quietly, perhaps, or a woman arranging flowers in a bronze bowl. But when you turn, there's only the quiet, only the dust dancing in the air. In the corner of the room stands a tall incense burner, shaped like a winged lion. The smoke rises in thin, graceful ribbons, curling toward the ceiling and spreading a faint haze through the room. It blurs the edges of everything, softening the walls, the lamps, even the marble beneath your feet. It feels like stepping into a dream, one made of stone, fire, and scent. You breathe it in slowly, feeling it settle in your chest, and with it comes a sense of calm. The kind of calm that belongs only to old places that no longer rush to remember or forget. You notice a small window high on the wall, narrow and arched, letting in a sliver of moonlight. Through it, you see part of the city below, sleeping under the stars. The streets are silent, the rooftops silver with light, and in that stillness, you can almost hear the sea far away. The palace sits above everything, watching, remembering, dreaming. You realize that even the stones here have seen empires rise and fall, kings born and buried, and yet they remain, unchanged and eternal. Jake's voice drifts back, soft as the sound of leaves in wind. The palace was not only Caligula's home, it was his reflection. Grand, beautiful, but full of shadows. You let those words linger as you walk back toward the curtain. The faint scent of incense follows you, and for a moment, the past feels very close, as if it's walking right beside you, whispering stories you can almost hear. You move quietly now, deeper into the palace, where the air grows heavier and the torches flicker lower. The path leads to a vast dining hall, silent, yet alive with memories. The doors are tall, carved from dark wood, their surfaces marked with tiny scratches and burn marks from long ago. You push them gently, and they open with a sigh, the sound echoing softly into the empty room. Inside, the hall stretches wide and long, a river of marble beneath a ceiling painted with fading scenes of gods feasting in clouds. The walls shimmer faintly with old gold leaf, the kind that has lost its shine but not its dignity. Jake's voice returns, low and calm. Here, once, laughter filled the air. Music drifted through the halls like perfume. And the Emperor, Caligula, sat at the center of it all, a man who wanted to be both mortal and divine. His words float around you like smoke as you step forward. In the center of the hall stands a long stone table. Dust coats its surface now, but you can still see the faint outlines of plates, goblets, and bowls that once held banquets fit for gods. The light from the torches reflects off the empty dishes, as though the ghosts of the feast still linger. You walk alongside the table, your hand brushing across the cold surface. You imagine the sound of cups clinking, the scent of roasted meat and honeyed wine filling the room. You can almost hear the musicians, flutes, harps, and the soft beat of drums played by unseen hands. For a moment, it feels alive again. Caligula, dressed in a robe of white and gold, sits on a raised couch at the end of the table. His expression is unreadable, calm, amused, distant. Around him, senators and courtiers speak in careful tones, laughing at the right moments, their eyes always watching him, never each other. The slaves move silently, pouring wine, carrying platters of fruit and bread, their faces calm but their steps full of quiet rhythm. As you look closer, the illusion fades. The seats are empty. The air is cold again. Only the faint echo of the past remains, a whisper that fades into the marble walls. You walk toward the far end of the room, where a tall window lets in a beam of moonlight. It falls across the floor like silver water, touching the edges of the table, the cups, and your face. You pause there, letting the light wash over you. It feels soft and ancient, a reminder that even the grandest feasts end in silence. Jake's voice comes softly again, gentle as a lullaby. Every empire leaves behind a table like this, full once, now empty. Full of life once, now only of echoes. His tone carries both warmth and sadness, as though the story itself is sighing. You stand quietly, listening to the hum of the night. Somewhere beyond the window, A breeze moves through the gardens. You can hear the faint rustle of leaves, the trickle of water from a fountain that still flows, even after all this time. You imagine the slaves cleaning this hall after each banquet, sweeping away the crumbs, polishing the marble, gathering the leftovers to feed the palace dogs. Their voices would have been low, their laughter quiet but real, small sparks of life within all that grandeur. They, too, were part of this place. Their stories, though never written, are woven into every stone and every beam of wood. You can almost hear them if you listen long enough, the clinking of metal plates, the murmured songs of tired workers, the sound of footsteps fading into the night. The longer you stand there, the more peaceful it becomes. The room is empty yet full of presence. The silence is deep, but not lonely. It feels as though the palace is breathing slowly, resting, dreaming. You take one last look at the long table, now quiet and still, and feel a strange comfort in its emptiness. Everything that once filled it, the laughter, the fear, the power, has passed. What remains is only peace. You take a slow breath, and with it, you feel the weight of time settle softly around you like a blanket. You leave the grand dining hall behind, stepping into a corridor where the air feels cooler, lighter, touched by the scent of night-blooming flowers from somewhere far outside. The marble floor changes under your feet, now smoother, almost polished by countless footsteps from centuries long gone. The sound of your steps echoes softly, a rhythmic pattern that seems to match the slow heartbeat of the palace itself. Along the walls, faded paintings tell stories that time has nearly erased. You see the faint outlines of dancers, musicians, and laughing faces, fragments of joy caught forever in color and dust. Their movements are frozen, yet you can almost hear the faint rhythm of their music in the silence. Jake's voice drifts in softly, warm and gentle, like a friend whispering in a quiet room. Even in Caligula's palace, there was beauty, moments of peace that no cruelty could erase. His tone feels like a soft reminder that history, even when dark, is never only darkness. As you walk, you notice a doorway to your left, half open, its hinges creaking softly as if sighing. You push it gently, and the room beyond glows with the faint light of the moon filtering through thin curtains. It's a bedroom, not the emperor's, but perhaps one belonging to someone close to him. The bed is low and wide, draped in what was once fine fabric, now worn thin and covered in dust. The floor around it is scattered with small fragments, pieces of pottery, a broken comb, the handle of a bronze mirror. Each one tells a quiet story, the story of someone who once lived, laughed, and dreamed within these walls. You pick up the mirror handle and see faint engravings on it, delicate flowers, their shapes softened by time. You imagine the woman who once held it, her face glowing in the soft light of oil lamps, her thoughts far away, her heart caught between privilege and fear. The room still carries her presence, faint, gentle, lingering like perfume that never truly leaves. On a small table by the bed lies a clay oil lamp, its wick long gone but its shape perfectly preserved. You run your fingers along its smooth curve and imagine how it once glowed, spreading golden warmth across the room while the palace outside murmured with distant laughter. Jake speaks softly again. Every flame in this palace once belonged to someone's story. Each one burned for a life that was real, fragile, and human. His words settle into the air like dust, quiet and timeless. You walk toward the window. The curtains flutter slightly in the breeze, revealing a glimpse of the night outside. The garden below glows faintly in the moonlight, rows of cypress trees, marble fountains, and pathways covered in pale stone. The sound of trickling water reaches your ears, slow and constant, like a heartbeat beneath the world. You stand there for a while, just breathing, letting the silence fill you. The city beyond the garden sleeps under the stars, unaware of the memories still breathing inside these old walls. The moonlight falls across the bed, soft and silver, painting the dust in tiny points of light. You realize how fragile everything is, how even power, beauty, and wealth fade into the same quiet stillness. Yet in that fading, there is something peaceful, something kind. The palace, in its ruin, has found its own calm. It no longer echoes with shouts or songs. It only breathes, slowly, deeply, endlessly. You sit on the edge of the bed and close your eyes. The faint sound of the wind passes through the window, brushing against the old curtains like a whisper. You imagine this same sound passing through the centuries, through laughter, through fear, through silence, until it reached this moment, this night. And now, it carries your breath, your heartbeat, your quiet thoughts, adding another small layer to the endless story of this place. Jake's voice returns one last time, soft and low. Everything that lives leaves behind a sound, a trace, a whisper. The palace remembers them all. You open your eyes again and smile faintly. The moonlight has moved now, resting on the doorway, guiding you onward. The night is still long, and the palace still has more to show you. You stand, take one last look at the room, and step back into the silent hallway, where time itself seems to wait for your next step. Paragraph 8. You step back into the hallway, where the air feels thick with age and silence. The torches on the walls burn low, their light soft and trembling, casting long shadows that sway like slow-moving ghosts. The corridor stretches ahead, endless and quiet, leading you deeper into the hidden heart of the palace. Each step echoes softly, as if the stones beneath your feet are whispering. You move slowly, breathing in the cool air, feeling the rhythm of the night surround you. The palace, once filled with voices and music, now holds only the hum of stillness, a sound so faint it feels like the pulse of the earth itself. Jake's voice drifts gently through the air again, smooth and low. In these halls, power once walked like a living thing. Men who ruled the world passed through here, their sandals striking the same stones you touch now. And yet, all of it has turned to dust. His tone is soft, almost like a sigh. The words don't feel sad, only true, a quiet truth that time teaches to all things. You come to a long archway, and beyond it lies another kind of room. The walls are darker here, made of polished stone that reflects the flickering light of the torches. Along the edges of the chamber are rows of wooden shelves, carved with care and worn smooth by years of use. You realize slowly that this is no ordinary room, it's a library, or what remains of one. The shelves are lined with scrolls, their edges curled and browned by age. Some lie open, their ink faded to ghostly brown lines. The smell here is different, dry, dusty, but somehow comforting, like the scent of forgotten stories. You move between the shelves, your fingers brushing the old parchment. Each scroll feels fragile, light as air, yet heavy with what it holds. Words written by hands long gone. Thoughts that once lived, breathed, and hoped. You lift one carefully, and as you unroll it, the faint symbols of Latin flow before your eyes. You cannot read them, but you can feel their rhythm, the slow, deliberate movement of a mind reaching through time. Jake's voice comes softly again. These are the Emperor's records, his dreams, his commands, his fears. Every line was once a heartbeat. Every letter, a moment of someone's life. The torchlight flickers, and shadows dance across the scrolls. You sit on a stone bench near the wall, the scroll resting in your lap. The silence here feels thick, but gentle, not empty, but full of waiting. You imagine the scribes who once worked here, their hands stained with ink, their eyes tired from long nights of writing. You see them sitting just where you are now, the scratch of their quills filling the air while the Emperor's orders echoed through the halls beyond. They, too, are part of this place, their patience, their quiet dedication, still lingering in every corner. For a moment, the room seems to breathe with you. The torches sway slightly, as though moved by an unseen breeze. The scroll in your hands feels warm, as if the words inside it are alive. You close it gently, returning it to the shelf. Around you, the darkness feels kind, protective. The library seems to understand what you feel. That peace doesn't come from forgetting, but from remembering quietly. You stand and look once more at the walls. Faded frescoes cover the upper parts, painted figures of philosophers, poets, and gods of wisdom, their faces cracked but serene. Their eyes seem to follow you as you move, not in judgment, but in calm companionship. The faint light from the torches paints them in golden shadow, like souls caught between worlds. You take a slow breath, feeling time melt away. For this brief moment, you are not a visitor, you are part of the story, walking through the same silence that once carried the voices of those who dreamed and learned here. Jake's voice whispers once more, softer now, almost fading into the walls. Every word ever written here still floats in the air. They don't vanish. They wait, patient and eternal, for someone to listen again. You smile faintly, placing your hand against the cold stone wall in silent gratitude. The surface is smooth and firm, timeless. And in its stillness, you can almost feel a heartbeat, not yours, not his, but the slow, eternal rhythm of history itself. You leave the library slowly, your footsteps soft against the cool marble floor. The faint smell of dust and ink lingers on your hands, as though the scrolls have marked you with their quiet memory. The corridor ahead is dim and narrow, lit by only a few dying torches. Their flames flicker lazily, painting the walls in trembling shades of gold and shadow. Somewhere far away, you hear the faint drip of water, a steady rhythm that echoes softly, like the ticking of an unseen clock. The air here feels different, cooler, quieter, more secretive. It's the kind of silence that seems to hold its breath. As you walk further, you notice a doorway carved with symbols, not grand or royal, but simple, geometric, almost humble. The door itself is half open, and through it, a faint orange glow seeps into the hall. You push it gently and step inside. The room is small and square, nothing like the golden chambers you've seen before. Its walls are plain stone, and the floor is uneven, cracked with age. In the center stands a low table made of rough wood, surrounded by clay lamps that burn with small, trembling flames. The air smells of oil, smoke, and something earthy, old grain, perhaps, or dried herbs. Jake's voice comes again, calm and thoughtful. "This is where the servants once gathered," he says softly. "The ones who worked unseen, who kept the palace alive." You look around and see it clearly now, the traces of hands that once moved here. A broken jug near the wall. A small wooden spoon. The corner of an old broom, its bristles long gone. Everything here feels different, smaller, but more human. You can almost feel their laughter, their whispers, the soft rustle of their simple clothes as they prepared food or shared stories after a long day. You sit near the table and close your eyes. For a moment, the room fills again. You can almost see them, the cooks, the cleaners, the water carriers, gathered around, their faces glowing in the lamplight. They pass bread between them, dip it in bowls of oil, share small pieces of fruit, and talk in low voices. Some speak of their families in faraway villages. Some dream of freedom. Some just listen, too tired to talk, but comforted by the nearness of others. There is warmth here, not the warmth of luxury, but of companionship, of survival. Jake whispers again, his voice soft as a sigh. "While emperors ruled and nobles feasted, these were the people who held the world together. Their hands built the palaces, their sweat filled the cups, their silence carried the empire." You open your eyes, and the room feels different, fuller somehow, alive with invisible life. The flickering lamps seem to dance to the rhythm of their long-gone voices. You notice a narrow window high in the wall, where the faint light of the moon seeps in. It falls across the floor in a soft silver line, cutting through the warm glow of the lamps. Dust drifts in the light, glowing like tiny stars suspended in the air. The scene feels timeless, both alive and long gone, like a dream that refuses to fade. You breathe deeply, and the smell of oil and smoke mixes with the cool scent of the night air. It feels honest, real, grounding. In the corner of the room, a clay bowl sits untouched. Inside it, only a few grains remain, turned to powder by time. You brush your fingers against its edge and feel its rough surface. Even this, you realize, was once part of a life, part of a day filled with work, fatigue, laughter, and quiet endurance. History often forgets these moments, but the walls remember. The stones, silent as they are, carry the stories of the hands that once touched them. Jake's voice drifts in one last time, lower now, softer, almost blending with the hum of the air. Great empires are remembered for their rulers, but it's the ordinary souls who gave them breath. Their voices are gone, but their warmth remains. You sit there for a while, listening to the silence. It's no longer empty. It's alive, a soft echo of all the laughter and whispers that once filled this humble room. The flame of the nearest lamp flickers, then steadies, as though acknowledging your presence. You smile faintly, feeling both the weight and peace of the past resting gently around you. You step out from the servants' quarters and find yourself walking down a long, silent corridor that stretches like a forgotten vein through the heart of the palace. The torches here have burned low, their flames sighing against the stone. The air feels colder now, heavier, as if it remembers too much. Jake's voice returns, steady and thoughtful. Every wall in this place has seen something it cannot tell. Secrets cling here like dust, waiting for someone brave enough to listen. You slow your steps, feeling the chill of the marble seep through your sandals. Ahead, faint light spills through a half-open archway. You follow it, quietly, and the space opens into a vast hall. The ceiling rises high above, lost in shadow. Pillars line the edges like the ribs of a great beast, their carvings eroded by time and neglect. Once, this was the grand dining hall, the place of Caligula's infamous feasts. The smell of wine and roasted meat is long gone, but the memory of indulgence seems to hang in the air like an invisible perfume. You imagine the echoes of laughter, the clinking of golden cups, the whispers of courtiers trying to please a ruler whose moods could shift like the sea. The marble floor beneath you is cracked and stained, but traces of color remain, faint mosaics of vines and grapes, the symbols of plenty. You kneel and brush the dust away, revealing a small piece of glass tile that still gleams faintly under the torchlight. This, Jake murmurs, was where pleasure became performance. Every gesture, every laugh, every word was a test of survival. To displease the emperor, even with a glance, could mean death. You can almost hear it now, the sound of musicians playing soft melodies, the soft rustle of silk, the uneven rhythm of nervous laughter. In your mind's eye, the hall comes alive again. The tables stretch endlessly, covered in fruits, roasted peacocks, and golden bowls of honeyed wine. Servants move like shadows, refilling cups, wiping spills, smiling when they must. At the head of it all sits Caligula, his face young, his eyes gleaming with the strange light of a man who believes himself more than mortal. He laughs loudly, too loudly, and the guests echo him, afraid to fall behind. His crown of laurel leaves tilts slightly on his dark hair, and his hands, elegant, restless, tap the edge of a goblet carved from crystal. Jake's tone deepens. For him, excess was not pleasure, it was power. Every feast was a stage, every guest an actor forced to perform devotion. You see it clearly, the emperor rising suddenly, demanding silence. He gestures toward one of his guests, a senator, and asks him to sing. The man hesitates, stammers, his voice shaking. Caligula smiles coldly, and the room waits. The senator sings, trembling, and when he finishes, the emperor claps once, slowly. Everyone else claps too, louder, desperate to please. The senator lives for another night. The lesson is clear, survival lies in surrender. You walk slowly between the ghostly tables, past the empty bowls and scattered bones of history. The silence feels thick here, as though the air itself remembers the tension of those nights. Jake whispers again, softer now, almost with pity. He was not just cruel. He was lonely, trapped in a palace that reflected only his own madness. Surrounded by faces, but none that dared to truly look at him. You pause, letting the thoughts settle. Power, when absolute, isolates. And in that isolation, even an emperor begins to fade. You reach the far end of the hall where a large bronze door stands half open. Through it, moonlight streams in, painting a long silver path across the floor. You follow it, stepping outside into the night air. The garden beyond is overgrown now, vines crawl over the marble statues, the fountains are dry, and the once perfect hedges are wild and untamed. Yet under the moonlight, everything glows faintly, beautifully. The chaos feels peaceful here. You breathe deeply, the first clean air in a long time. The wind rustles the leaves gently, carrying the scent of earth and forgotten roses. Jake's voice fades in for the last time tonight, calm and almost wistful. The palace stands still, but the stories it holds, they never rest. They whisper through time, of glory, of madness, of the fragile line between power and ruin. You look back once at the great stone walls, now pale and cracked under the moon. Once they held laughter, screams, and the footsteps of emperors. Now only silence remains, deep, ancient, eternal. You feel it wrap around you, not as fear, but as a strange, quiet understanding. History is never truly gone. It only waits for someone to listen. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe my channel. Good night.